Hello, everyone. Greg Giglio, Homestead High School principal, here with a Friday edition of a weekly video message. And the date today is Friday, January 27th. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our messages. So we had several shout outs and recognitions this week. So happy to see that. There was a shout out for the kids who planned and worked with Winter Formal. It was nice to see so many kids dressed up and having a good time. And then a special shout out to Miss Jessica Kirby, who is our leadership teacher. So nice job. I did not go to that event, but I heard it was a good one. So glad it went off without a hitch. And then we had a situation where there was a student who had a medical condition. And the parent wanted to shout out that it was really super happy and thankful for all the help and support that they and their student have gotten in this time. And so they listed several folks: Mrs. Marissa Amasquita, who's his student's counselor, Ms. Terry Hannigan, who is the assistant principal in charge of guidance and counseling. And then there was Dan Newsom, who is our health clerk and athletic trainer, as well as the student's coach, Coach Kayla Wong. And also then classroom teachers of Mr. McMahon, Miss Rick, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Bacher for the support and help that they gave. So thank you, everybody, for helping that student out. And again, if your student has some issues that pop up, please make sure you're chatting with us, your counselor, teachers, that kind of thing, and we'll try and create as best a support plan as we can. And then there was a shout out here for some of our Spanish teachers, for Senor Paco Arivalo and his student teacher, Moises Ruiz. And according to the student, they make Spanish class fun and interesting while also teaching us the actual material. We play fun games and sing songs in class and improve our Spanish speaking skills at the same time. Thank you. Nice job to both of those teachers. So thank you. Had some questions and concerns. Actually, kind of a lot of questions and concerns this time. So I get to answer a lot of things. So question here about, are we no longer getting notices about the number of COVID cases at school? How is the school doing with respect to students out due to COVID? Have cases gone down? Are students following the guidelines to quarantine, etc.? So yeah, we did stop sending out the notices last year. That was something that the county said we no longer need to do. So we have taken that advice and are not sending it out. And I think some people were getting frustrated seeing the numbers anyway every week. And we are still seeing some kids show up with students and staff showing up with positive cases of COVID, but not nearly the numbers that we've had in some of the passes. And even when we came back from the break, there wasn't a big, there was an increase, but not as big as we've seen in years past. And students and staff are required to follow the isolation guidelines for health and safety of everyone. So again, if it's reported to us, we give them the protocol, have them go through it, and make sure that they're staying out until they have a negative test. And again, talking about tests, we definitely have a bunch of those available in the front office. So if you need one or your student needs one, send them on up to us and we will definitely hand those out to them. And just, as we've had a lot of changes over the last couple of months with our admin team, our new COVID designee is Paula Mockler. She's an assistant principal. She was a dean over at Fremont. She was doing that job over there. So she has lots of information on anything. So if you have questions or concerns, definitely you can email or contact her and she can help you out. But yeah, we're still seeing a steady number of cases. We're not seeing as many as we've had in the past. And we're not actually seeing as many, lengthy times that kids are out. So that's all good news. So this person kind of wrote a long question here, but let me read it all to you. For course selection presentations, can teachers go over whether they use the flipped classroom method, which is, I think I've described that one before, where the teacher uses not exactly video lessons to teach the class, and teacher has discussion after. Basically what happens is you do a lot of the work that you typically do in class, where it's lectures and PowerPoints and that kind of stuff, and that becomes the homework. And then the guided practice, which used to be the homework, is now done in class, versus more traditional mode, which again, you tend to have the lecture and discussion in class, and then you have them kids do homework at home. But this person says they don't like that as much, and if students know this method, can they opt out to find a different class? So teachers will provide a variety of information. We don't give them a script. We don't tell them what they need to put on there. But for the most places, for the course fairs, information fairs, it is centered on expectations and curriculum, not necessarily the strategies that are used. But we also don't have a mechanism where students can opt out of a teacher because they don't like their teaching strategy or style. Again, that's part of school, is getting used to how folks do things, and a variety of different ways, and strengthening maybe skills that they aren't so good at. But we do not give students the opportunity to just say, oh, I don't like this teacher, I don't like this teacher style, I'm going to switch. That would create a nightmare on our course schedule, the big schedule. So we don't do that. So, but if you're having an issue or something's going on, this is the best way is for that student to talk directly to the teacher when issues arise, and then they can come up with a way to support each other. So again, I'm kind of a broken record on this one. I wish students would directly go and talk to teachers. I know that can feel a little intimidating at times. It's definitely a life skill we want kids to start to get, but also you'll find that once you start talking to our teachers that they aren't as scary as people make them out to be, and they will help you out and they will actually, give you some support plans. But communicating often and early is definitely something that's important. And again, I'm not talking about, hey, can I get more points? But I'm talking about I'm having trouble with this information, or what are some better strategies I can use to do this work? Those are the kind of things. So again, if you're having some issues with a teacher that you end up getting next year, please kind of start talking with them, talk with your counselor, that kind of thing. We can see what support plans we might be able to provide for you. This one wrote, why have there been so many fire alarms lately? It seems disruptive if they are false alarms. Actually, any alarm is disruptive, to be honest, but if it's due to vaping and smoking, there should be more oversight, discipline. What is the school doing to prevent false alarms? So a couple things mixed into here, obviously, but this week we did have a couple of alarms that went off. I think there was 3 for sure. 2 of them that were caused by students vaping in a restroom. And so this, I don't want to split hairs here, but that actually means our fire system was working in the way it's supposed to work. As if there's something going on and it registers that there's an issue, it's supposed to make an alert like that. So this wasn't a false alarm. It wasn't a glitch or a bug. It's actually what's supposed to happen. So yeah, but definitely evacuations are disruptive, and we will do everything we can to end it and get you back into class. But we got to do so safely. We can't just do it quickly. So there are several steps that it takes for us to make sure that there is no fire, make sure there's no issues in other places, reset the system, all that kind of thing. Yeah, fire alarms are never fun. And so, but again, what we want to make sure is that when students and staff hear them, they react as if it is real until we tell them it's not, and then we'll get them to return back to class. So we are also, on the other hand, trying to talk about strategies that can help cut down on some of these issues, such as vaping in the restrooms. But I'm going to be quite honest with you that bathrooms are not an easily supervised thing. We're not hanging out in the bathroom. As you can imagine, that's a problem. It's also not a very fun assignment for somebody. But we did catch the kid who did the first one. We are still trying to catch the kid on the second one. We may or may not get them, but the vaping is an issue, and this is one of the things that come up with it. So we're hoping that now that kids are getting annoyed and disruptive, that they may also help us catch some of those kids so that they aren't getting away so easily. But we are definitely keeping an eye out for them. There was an Epitaph, which is the student newspaper article that discussed some of the valedictorians and how HHS uses unweighted GPAs to calculate this honor for graduating seniors. Is still the case? Why doesn't HHS use weighted GPAs? Also, are all students eligible to receive this honor, including students in the college now, middle college, and dual enrollment programs? Are students involved in the De Anza College program entitled to any senior HHS awards? Someone said they are not. So unweighted grades are used across our district. It is something that we as a district years and years ago, before my time here, made that decision, and all the schools have to abide by it. When I know people get all freaked out, like, well, my kid won't look as good to another kid when they're competing for college because they have weighted grades and we have unweighted grades. Well, the colleges do place students in like schools, and so that information is easily and always shared with colleges. So there is a way to do that. Kids don't have weighted grades, so we don't use weighted grades when looking at valedictorians. We look at who has a 4.0 or is close to a 4.0, and we usually have a lot of kids that have a 4.0. The kids that are in these other programs are eligible to be awarded as valedictorians or have some other awards too. They are technically still Homestead students, even though they are attending a different program, they're still attending ours, so they do get different awards. So, yep, they go through our graduation, they go to our prom if they want to, and all that kind of stuff, because they are our kids. Hope that makes sense. Will you allow no first periods as a choice next school year as part of the course selection? So yes, we are. So next year, we actually have a couple of options, or things that people can choose from. You either can choose a no first, a no sixth, or a no seventh. And we chose the no sixth and no seventh because those are the last periods of the day. And sometimes that helps correspond with sports. We can't give you more than one, though. So just understand that if you put no sixth and seventh, you're definitely not going to get both those. You're definitely, you might get more than one, but also there's no guarantee that you'll even get the one, because basically the thing that takes precedence over everything is that what are the courses that you select as your first choice? Can we get you into those? And then we start looking at the periods. If we can do it and skip you in one of those periods, we'll do it. If it works out, absolutely. But yeah, we definitely are adding that option in back in this year. Had a couple suggestions and ideas. And so one person actually, this was a rather long one, so I kind of just made it a little bit shorter here, but talking about, could you please add more information to the calendar event? So if you go onto our website, click onto our calendar, click on a specific event, sometimes there's a lot of information, sometimes there's very little information. And so what happens is when an organizer of one of these events writes, there's a separate software that they use called Facilitron that they write all this stuff into, and then it gets uploaded into the website, and that goes into the calendar. It really does depend on what the organizer writes in there as to what gets pulled into the calendar. So if the organizer writes 2 things, those 2 things go in there. If an organizer writes 15 things, those 15 things go in there. There is limited space, but you kind of get the idea. It is in, our calendar is in the theory of it behind it is it's supposed to be meant more as a quick guide, like, oh, there's something going on, a music thing going on Thursday night. Oh, I want to know more about that. And, sometimes you can click on that link and it'll show you a little bit more. Or if you're really looking for more detailed information, that's where you go to either the student or the parent portals, go in and find the information there, find it under the bulletin. Yes, that's another click or 2 away, but that's kind of where we're able to put more information together. So use the calendar as a quick guide and then go in and find these other ones. And we will provide some guidance to our organizers to say, hey, there's been some requests and people would like to have more information in there. So here's the things you should really include, like date, time, location, if there's any special, setups or needs, or people should be bringing something, that kind of thing. So, but what doesn't happen is our webmaster doesn't go in and create all those separately. That would take forever. We'd have to have a single webmaster that does nothing but those things. So it is kind of a fault of the system, but something we can actually try and do a little bit better. Another thing was, I hear that rallies, a suggestion, I hear that rallies have nice dance routines and presentations. Are these posted on the HHS website? If so, where? If not, it'd be nice to have them posted so parents can see. This actually got us kind of thinking and talking, like, oh, this could be fun, this could be interesting, but it does present a couple of issues. So we do have students, as you know, in the beginning of the year, you sign up for the do not photo list. So we can't take their photographs or their videos and post them on the website because parents have said you can't. So we'd have to go and do some sort of special clearance or black out people's faces, and that doesn't make as much blur people's faces, not black them out. But there are some other ways we might be able to post it. So we're going to kind of take a look and see if there's things that we can do that might kind of preserve that thing, or whether we come up with some clearances, because there's a lot of great work that goes into the rallies and to the dance routines and that kind of stuff. So if we can come up with something, we will think so with it. So thank you for that suggestion, and we're kind of putting our best brains on it. So thanks a lot. We had a quick update here. So if you were paying attention, last weekly message, I actually said I'm going to have a guest speaker here. We're going to talk about the American Heart Challenge. We've had to postpone the American Heart Challenge, and we were going to start it like right now. We're going to start it in a month because there's a couple things that started popping up, like, course selections and other things. We said, it's going to be too hectic. Let's move it because we want to give special attention to it. So I'm going to bring our student rep, Neil, who is going to be helping us with it. Going to bring him in a couple of weeks and do that interview then and talk about it and let you know all the fun things that are going to be happening. So apologize for no guest speaker today, but a guest star, but we'll be getting that to you in a couple of weeks. And the American Heart Challenge being delayed for a couple of weeks. Important dates. So again, a lot of these are in reference to all the course information things that are coming up. So just so you have an idea that your students' deadlines are coming up and some of the things they're going to have to start looking at. So hopefully you can get a chance to say, hey, junior, freshman, sophomore student of mine, would you show me what you're signing up for? Or are you sure you want to sign up for that class? That sounds like a lot of, heavy loaded classes. You want to balance your load. Have those kinds of conversations. This would be that time for you to have those conversations. I snuck February 14th, Valentine's Day on there, just in case any of you are needing a gentle reminder to make sure you are getting something for your loved one. And if you forget it, now you're really in trouble because I gave you the heads up here, but hopefully you all have a lovely Valentine's Day coming up. And also just looking forward that we have our February break coming up on February 20th. So again, thank you for paying attention. Thank you for sending in all those questions and shout outs and suggestions and all that kind of stuff. Please keep using that survey and we'll see you next week. Thank you and take care.